I'm Eric Barnes with the Daily Memphian, and welcome to The Sidebar, a weekly show on the community, arts, culture, and more. Today, we're very pleased to be talking to Rachel Knox from the Hyde Family Foundation, so stay with us for a conversation with Rachel. Rachel, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and I'm glad you're here. It's weird. I said this before. You're Senior Program Officer for Arts and Culture. It's a very formal title.
It is.
But
for it to be a very fun job.
Yeah, I know. Actually, yeah. And so thank you. I'm glad we got to get you on here. We'll talk about all kinds of things that you're involved in, whether it's directly through Hyde Foundation or through, things that kind of convenes and so on. I should say first, Hyde Foundation has been a very generous supporter of the Daily Memphian from day one. I think it's also a supporter of WXR, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm a board member there. So full disclosure, we'll just get that out of the way. Right, where are you from? There's a reason I'm asking.
I'm a native Memphian.
You are a native Memphian?
I am.
So in the time, I don't know how, whatever you want to, time frame you want to put on it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's as long as you've been at the Hyde Family Foundation or wherever. How has or has not the sort of arts community, however you want to define it, changed, evolved, advanced, stepped back in Memphis?
That's a really great question. I talk to a lot of people about arts and culture in Memphis, and I think that Memphis has always been a city that has defined culture for the world. I think we very easily always reach for music as just kind of like the first line of defense. But this is an interesting year because it is the year of arts and culture, where we have so many anniversaries and milestones and new openings. And it is really a testament to the strength of how the culture has continued to grow and evolve, and how it has not only continued to reach new audiences and organizations who have continued to evolve and make themselves relevant to our current community, but also to people in the region and across the nation. But it's also an opportunity for us to really celebrate what we have always done really well, which is music and food and dance and visual arts and history in a way that is very accessible to anyone who wants to engage in it.
It is interesting, the music, which we have Pat Mitchell-Worley coming on from Soulsville. We just taped it, actually, but it'll air next week. We had Elizabeth Kawine from Music Export Memphis. We do a lot of musicians and music-related things, but also the visual arts. For whatever reason, as you were talking, I was like bird camp.
Yeah.
All these amazing murals, and just a fascinating interview we did with him a couple years ago now, and the visual arts too, the photography, the painting, the William Eggleston's, whoever. It's not that it ends up playing second fiddle. It's just that Memphis music is out front. But with the museum opening, or moving and reopening, and the metal museum, it's almost like they're claiming even a bigger stake in the arts traditions of Memphis.
Absolutely. And I think you raise a good point, because I think Memphis has forgotten more about what it has impacted in the world than we remember. Right. And I think it makes it really hard to tell a coherent, clean story of Memphis and culture, because even talking about photography, when the Memphis Art Museum opens, one of the galleries will feature photography from the Hooks Brothers collection, which was a photography studio on Beale Street from Reconstruction to the 1970s. That fundamentally shaped photography, and especially slice of life photography. The same with Ernest Withers and the Withers, collection being on Beale Street, and how it told such a comprehensive story of sports and arts and culture and music, and civil rights. And then Eccleston, obviously, with color photography, and all of these are Memphians and people that we get to claim, right? And now we have these incredible visual artists like Derek Fajour, who is from Memphis, went to Central High School, is based in New York City, is such a superstar in the visual arts world. His work is on the High Line in New York City, and also, he has these life-size, massive sculptures, and also these larger-than-life murals that he does of the drum majors. That's a recurring theme in his work. And he also did this beautiful piece for the National Civil Rights Museum in its renovated legacy building of Dr. King in 3 different vignettes on his last day. And it is one of those things where Derek is based in New York, but he still loves Memphis. He reps Memphis so hard, and he started Contemporary Art Memphis to make sure that young people know about how to navigate their careers as artists, but also all of the people who help artists to be able to make the visual arts a career long term.
Another one right now, just because it's top of mind, is George Edward Walker. All his drawings are on display within Crosstown Arts. I got to go back. I went the opening. I don't remember if I saw you, but there's a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go back and have some quiet time with this, because not that it was great that there were so many people.
Yes.
And he was there.
Right.
But those are just amazing, and they I don't know if I would know if I saw them somewhere else, would I know they were of Memphis?
Right.
I don't know, but when you look at them and you kind of spend some time with them, you feel like this is very of Memphis.
Yeah.
In some painful ways and some beautiful ways, and just the whole spectrum of it.
Absolutely.
Talk about, you mentioned, what was it? I keep saying this wrong. The Year of Arts and Culture.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the museum is huge going downtown, and we should mention the MCA as we talk about the legacy of Memphis visual arts. The Memphis College of Art exhibit that's going on at the museum still in the park. That's amazing.
Yes.
People need to see that. I always forget her name. Who's the curator who did it?
Julie?
No, that you're thinking of the Dixon. We also had the Dixon curator. That was amazing too. Cafe Society.
Patty, Dr. Daigle.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yes, that's who it was. That was just. It's amazing all these Memphis artists and who came through Memphis or from Memphis, but their attachment one way or another to Memphis College of Art. I'm so glad that happened. And again, because of this sort of unceremonious end to College of Art, that exhibit could be there. But also you got the Metal Museum opening. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you look at some of these things.
Yeah. Memphis is such a city of first, best, and only. And it is a phrase that I will say I borrowed from Michael Kaiser, who is an incredible arts administrator who helped to turn the ship back and get them back on track at Alveda Ailey Dance Theater, and then went to the Kennedy Center and started the Kennedy Center Honors. And now
How'd that turn out? Anyway, keep going.
The Kennedy Center Honors when he was there, great.
Keep going. Sorry, that's on me.
But he loves Memphis, and he is acutely aware of how many organizations we have that are very unique across the state, in the region, in the nation, and even in the world in the case of the National Ornamental Metal Museum. And similarly with the National Civil Rights Museum, it was the first museum of its kind dedicated to civil rights history. I mean, Stax and the work that Pat and her team are doing is the only museum of its kind dedicated to, the study and preservation of soul music. We have two of the largest dance companies in the United States, with Collage Dance Collective that's celebrating 16 years this year, and
How
Ballet
is that
Memphis.
possible?
I know, isn't that incredible?
Wow, 16 years.
16 years, and Ballet Memphis is celebrating 40. And so we have all of these incredible institutions that exist in a place like Memphis, and continue to just push the envelope of like what's possible. And last night I was at Hattie Lou Theater because Ekendayo is celebrating, of course, Hattie Lou's celebrating 20 years, and they are bringing in 6 international Black theater companies to perform. And yesterday he had the leader of the Rwandan Kigali Theater Company in Memphis to meet people and just get to know a little bit more about the city. And it's just a city of visionaries and people who do the work and create the things and continue to recreate sectors.
I'll remind everyone we're here with Rachel Knox from the Hyde Family Foundation. You all fund some of these places directly, a lot of them that you mentioned. Others you'll fund the funders, right? I mean, there's some of that. Funding, like Arts Memphis, I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely. They're one of our good partners.
And didn't you all help get DeMarcus Suggs?
Yes.
As a kind of coordinator of arts and culture at the city, right?
Absolutely.
Which we've mentioned. It's been, time goes way too fast. It's been over a year since we had DeMarcus on. We should get him back. But I assume those are all things that are just really going in the right direction from your point of view, just as a Memphian.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that over the last 9 years that I've been at the foundation, when I first started, the Hyde Family Foundation has such a legacy of supporting arts and culture. It's endemic into the DNA of the organization. And the foundation really focused on helping a lot of our now legacy institutions get started. And so we were first funders with the National Civil Rights Museum and Ballet and even Hattie Lou Theater. And so when I started, I was really curious as to what is the next generation of arts legacy institutions that we want to create, because a legacy is only as good as the next legacy that you build.
Right.
And also what is the infrastructure that we need to put in place to really help strengthen the sector and to ensure that the sector can remain resilient long term. And so obviously the pandemic was the first test of that in a very broad scale way.
Right.
And there's still so much that we're learning about how it shifted audiences and buying habits and all of those things. But at our core, like the arts are stories of us as people and humanity, and they're those third spaces that we don't have as often, where we get to just sit in space with other people.
Yeah. I want to come back to third spaces, actually, because there's a lot that the Hyde Foundation has done on that and other groups in town. I mean, but let me just take a moment and remind everyone, we're here with Rachel Knox. She's Senior Program Officer for Arts and Culture for the Hyde Family Foundation. I should say the Hyde Family Foundation has been a supporter of the Daily Memphian since the beginning and also has been a supporter of WYXR. But we would cover, and we talk to Rachel, and we do all this. As I always say, when we do a grant application and I talk to the people there, I'm like, we're going to cover you anyway. I mean, there's no secrets here. We would love your support, and the foundation's been really supportive of both organizations. This is the sidebar, though, which focuses on the community, arts, culture, everything in between. It is a podcast. It is now a video podcast. It is a radio show on WYXR 91.7, where it airs every Thursday at 11:30. It is also one of many podcasts and video podcasts we now do at the Daily Memphian, including our morning podcast, the AM DM, hosted by Mary Casciola, and also featuring Natalie Van Gundy, who's sitting over here and produces all of our audio and video. And you'll hear her voice on there, as well as many of the reporters from the Daily Memphian. We also have our Memphis Grizzlies show with Chris Harrington and Drew Hill. And we have our food podcast, Sound Bites, hosted by Holly Whitfield. That's also on WYXR every Thursday at 11. And again, also a podcast and video podcast. I should mention the podcast version of Behind the Headlines, the TV show we produce with the folks at WKNO every week. That's available, like all of our podcasts and videos, on the Daily Memphian site, as well as YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Video is, go to YouTube, go to the Daily Memphian, you'll get video, if that is your thing. And as we were talking about before, I think is really interesting. Everybody needs a video podcast right now, and we are in. And I was talking about the reach we get on YouTube, and how much more it can be than on iTunes or even Spotify. It's crazy, which is why we're doing this. And you have to watch me read things and look at you in the camera at the same time. You can also get these shows, this sidebar and sound bites, on WYXR. All the shows from WYXR are on the WYXR.org website or the WYXR app. You've got archives of the talk shows, the music shows, the 130 or so various DJs and hosts that are on the station. The station is a nonprofit, listener-reported radio station, so consider becoming a member. You get all kinds of benefits with that, or you can do a one-off donation. And if you're not a paid subscriber to the Daily Memphian, do consider becoming one. Paid subscriptions pay for about half of what we do at the Daily Memphian, a newsroom of over 40 folks, plus others, the largest newsroom in the region. And let's see, 25% of what we do is paid for by advertising, sponsorships, and so on, and then another 25% by donations. We do take donations because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Coming up soon, I mentioned Pat Mitchell-Worley from Soulsville Foundation Stacks. We actually just recorded that. It's a great conversation with Pat. It's always fun to talk to Pat. We also have Brady Walkinshaw, who is the I guess owner behind the group that is buying the majority stake in the Memphis Flyer and Memphis Magazine, who I've gotten to know a bit before all that went down. I didn't know he was buying it, but I did get to meet him, and we'll have him on, I think, in a week or two. Also, Tim Disney of those Disneys will be on. He's got a graphic novel. He'll be at Novel Bookstore at the end of August, and so we're going to talk to Tim about that. I've gotten to know Tim through a roundabout sort of way. Recently, I think I already mentioned this, we had Elizabeth Kawine from Music Export Memphis. We had Julie Perotti from the Dixon Gallery and Gardens. I always say it wrong, and Kevin gets really mad at me. We have the folks from the Steric and what they're doing with the public market and the building. And we also, some weeks, maybe months ago, it was Marina Pacini, who we had on. She was the curator of the Memphis College of Art exhibit.
Yes, that's correct.
That's who curated that.
Yes.
She was on. She was fantastic.
Go back and
Great.
listen.
Yeah, go back and listen. It was really good. It's before we did video. So all this mistakes I'm making, we took those out during audio. But video, we just leave them in. We leave them in. But thank you, Natalie, for correcting me on that. I was trying to think of Marina. Let's see. On Behind the Headlines this week, we've got a journalist roundtable. Next week, we'll have Lee Harris, the outgoing Shelby County mayor. By the time that airs, we may have a new Shelby County mayor, right? My time warp of pre-taping is strange, but we did interview Mikkel Lowry, the Democratic candidate for mayor, as well as John DeBerry, the Republican candidate. You can get those on the Daily Memphian site or at WKNO. And we had Anthony Buckner, the Democratic candidate for sheriff, and Brad Less, the Republican candidate, on the show as well. And once we get past this round of elections, because there's a lot of rounds of elections, we'll be going into some of the national and statewide races through the fall. So stay tuned for that. But we are here with Rachel Knox from Hyde Family Foundation. Talk about how, a lot of the things that Hyde Foundation has done, but also has changed a lot in the 30 years I've been here.
Yeah.
31, I think, this summer, wherever we are. Public spaces.
Yeah.
So, from Shelby Farms is a big one. Overton Park, I was was on the board of Overton Park Conservancy, and I think now it'd be hard for people to remember, when my kids were little, that was not a playground you went to.
Nope.
That was a park you felt okay about being in with your kids.
Right.
It was one of those places.
Yeah.
And it's not now.
No.
You think about the Green Line and now Wolf River Greenway and all the parks and pocket parks and plans, and obviously Tom Lee. I'm going to leave stuff out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Hyde Foundation, but also others, kind of the virtuous circle of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like support of the Edge District and Tommy Pacello, who I like is a kind of always I try to note that it was Tommy Tommy was an early guest on Behind the Headlines, and he was the original head of all kinds of placemaking things, and just had this vision for it.
Yeah.
Tommy, and he tragically, for people to know, he passed away way too young, early 40s, barely.
Yeah.
And some years ago now, was very much a part of the Edge District and the medical district. Tommy was both. He could be cool about stuff, but also nerdy and practical, and sort of envision placemaking. And I think about the Edge District, or I think about when you think about arts and placemaking and how those things intersect, which is also where my brain went with Birdcap, where you have this incredible urban art, and you're getting good coffee. You and I share a love for good coffee and wine.
Yes.
And things. We always run into each other.
Yes.
And it's a really great place. Oh, wow, shocking. Rachel's here. Or Eric walked in. How does that work for you? Like when you think about the arts, but also all these places.
Absolutely. Well, we also work, with Urban Art Commission that works with so many artists for public art. Not necessarily all of the projects are the same ones. Like they're not commissioning everything. We have so many incredible visual artists, muralists, and I think what Urban Art Commission has done really well is help to scale up and continue to help evolve the skill set of the visual artists that we have. So more people who are able to do, supersized murals, but also sculpture and things like that, which allow us to have a wider variety of public art available. And then in public projects like Tom Lee Park, because that was one of our big bets in our public spaces and neighborhoods portfolio, managed by my colleague Ian Nunley, arts and culture were very center to that. And Carol Coletta, who was leading at the time, was very adamant about making sure that the arts were included in the day-to-day function of the park, not just as something beautiful to look at and view, as with like the Theaster Gates monument that he created specifically in response to the original Tom Lee sculpture that was in the park, but also the basketball court has an incredible, the actual hardwoods of the court are part of the art of the James Little, who is an incredible contemporary artist. And so it's one of those things like you might not know that you're playing on a basketball court with art by James Little, but like it's a really cool basketball court.
I was going to say, it's got to be like really tough.
Yes.
I've never seen a set of basketball courts cooler than that.
I know.
On the Mississippi with this amazing architecturally significant structure and all that,
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that is also just a part of like the DNA of Memphis, is that culture is so innate that it can be on the hardwoods at a basketball court in one of our beautiful public parks.
Right.
Just as easily as it can be in a world-class arts institution that's opening on that same riverfront.
It reminds me, when you talk about that, when I had nothing to do with it other than I was on the board, but it had already been put in motion, I think, in the first year. The gates to the Old Forest.
Oh, yeah.
Were some of the first things that the Overland Park Conservancy did.
Yes.
And, among other people, George Cates, who was the founding executive director and original board chair, who got me on that board. You know, all these people, and Tina Sullivan, obviously,
Yes.
and other, just knew, well, the forest seems a little scary, so what should we put there?
Yeah.
A big sign that says, this place isn't scary, or art.
Yes.
And there are these kind of gates, and they don't seem like gates because
Yeah.
they don't shut off the forest,
Sure.
but they're sort of invitations. The bike gate
Yep.
on the east side was a similar kind of idea that art can invite you into a place.
Absolutely, yes. And everyone loves those bicycle gates. There's so many pictures of people, in the arches. And I think that is one of the great things about public art is it's a portal, it's an invitation, it's a welcome to a space, it's you belong here. It's the green flags that give you the understanding of like who you are and where you are in space, and that you're welcome there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the place, again, just because we see each other at Hustle and Dough, the coffee part of the place downtown. And there's the door, the garage door next to it.
Yes.
That's just been spray painted with like some I Love Memphis and Memphis stuff. And all day long, if you sit there, and I do sit there quite a bit drinking a lot of coffee, people just kind of go by and take a picture.
Yes.
They do a selfie.
Absolutely.
It's just somebody's private door.
Right.
Some painting started somehow. Somebody should do a story on that. If only there was a news organization
I don't
who could do a
know.
story on
If
the
you know
history
of
that.
anybody, maybe
but I
you
almost
could pitch
don't
it.
want to do the story because maybe, I don't know, but it's just this great organic thing, and it invites people. It's not like this. I like the sign on Memphis, the Instagrammable sign.
of course.
I totally get why we have
Yes.
that. Cities have that
Sure.
now. That door to me is this amazing organic thing that people walk by, families, couples, and they just kind of go, I think we can take our picture here.
Yeah.
And they take their picture and then they post it.
Exactly. Yes, and that's like I think the value of having these types of really beautiful, whether it's organic or it is intentional, spaces that people feel like they belong. And I think that one great example of an organization who is like, how else can we decorate space with music and art is Opera Memphis, who did such a great job, especially during the pandemic, of putting a bunch of opera singers on a flatbed truck and going to every single neighborhood in Memphis to provide, these incredibly high caliber operatic performances. And I think I can't quite remember the quote, but there's the artist who talks about like music is how we decorate time and space.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is so true of like so many of our organizations, even if it's not a musician playing. Like Memphis is always decorating time and space, whether it's physical or it is in the sense of music or dance.
Well, and then the Shell then did Shell on Wheels. Partly I think inspired. I mean, inspired might be too hard, but just like we don't. What about people who can't get to the Shell?
Exactly.
Like the Shell's incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And again, talk about music, art, and space in a public place.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. Kind of checks all those boxes. So they build the thing out, I think, right before COVID, during COVID. And so they can take shows. And DeMarcus, we mentioned, has talked about that as well as, and I'm terrible with names, but the woman who is or was the arts coordinator for Shelby County.
Nikesha Cole.
Okay, thank you. Say it again.
Nikesha Cole.
Nikesha Cole.
Yes.
At the county. Like, we want to get art and music and things out into spaces, not just rely, particularly in a city with really weak public transit, to go to the cool spaces. You got to take it to them.
Exactly. And I mean, Overton Park Shell is another great example. They're celebrating 90 years this year, and we also help to support, part of the funding for the Shell on Wheels. And they are, partnering now with the Metal Museum that is moving into Rust Hall, the former MCA building, that's getting a second life in a really incredible, intentional way. And a lot of these are projects in which our arts organizations are so collaborative, and that I've learned is frankly very unique to Memphis, and people do not work with each other in other cities the way that people in Memphis do. We always have like part of an idea and vibes, and we're like, do you want to do this with me? And most of the time people are like, yes, and we almost have too much information for how to get this done.
Yeah, in arts, I mean, so many arts leaders who we've talked to who've worked in other places talk about how this is different here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, I mean, people are competing.
Of course.
They're competing for eyeballs, butts and seats, funding, and all that. But that level of collaboration and communication is, I didn't know that. I mean, but the more, we've talked to so many people who've said that sort of thing, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't something that I realized was so unique until a couple of years ago, actually. The Hyde Foundation, along with Arts Memphis, Music Export Memphis, and Memphis Music Initiative, presented at the Grantmakers in the Arts Conference about our recovery fund during the pandemic, and just sharing, you know, warts and all, that experience of creating kind of a smaller pot of funding to help stabilize small to mid-sized organizations and individual artists until the federal support started to flow. And afterwards, some of my colleagues in Detroit were like, oh, we were so inspired that we are now starting to like work together and figure out how we can collaborate and share information. I was like, y'all have so much money for you to be saying this to me. I was like, I'm so glad that you all are now collaborating, but like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? With just a couple minutes left, that kind of feeds into Grantmakers in the Arts Conference that's coming to Memphis in October. Talk a bit about that.
Yes, so it is an annual conference that generally brings, it rotates cities, and it generally brings anywhere from 300 to 700 grant makers, people who do my job, from everywhere from national philanthropy to family foundations, corporate and government funders, together to learn and to, you know, network, all of those things. And I have been very adamant that Memphis should be a host city for Grantmakers in the Arts. And after just wearing them down, they were like, great, we would love to have this conference in Memphis if for no other reason you will stop asking. And like Memphians, I immediately was like, great, we won't be doing this conference the way it is typically done. And so they were like, what do you mean? So we are actually doing it completely different. It's not going to be in a hotel convention center situation. It's actually going to be a diffused model. And so we will have, as I've learned on Monday, 650 grant makers from all over the country coming to Memphis. We will have our home base at the Orpheum Theater and the Halloran Center, and then all of the offsite sessions will be at various cultural institutions and anchors across the city. We'll have 4 different chefs who are providing like the food and breakfast service, so people get the best food ever. Really, that was a huge impetus of me doing this. I was like, you all have terrible food in these other cities, and I just want us to be able to brag just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so,
and I go to a lot of conferences on the local news side and so on. Some of them may have good food, but they serve the worst food.
Well, you can't
the hotel ball. I mean, you go to this amazing city and you're in the basement ballroom with no windows. It's like, am I on a Hyatt? I'm in a Hilton. It doesn't matter. Who knows?
Who knows? We were in
chicken. Shocking. You know?
It's always chicken, and it's awful.
Bad chicken.
We were in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, and there were no windows. I was like, why am I here? I could be in Iowa right now.
It's probably
yes. So we were really excited to show off Memphis, and I think what was so encouraging about our announcement, which also was very different, we showed a hype video and then also passed out snacks from Memphis-based food and beverage companies.
That's awesome.
And everyone only had positive things to say about Memphis. Everyone was so excited about it coming to the South. This conference has not been in the South in 13 years.
Wow.
It's only been in 4 locations in its almost 30-year history. And Memphis is really ushering in just like a new understanding about like why Memphis and the South is important in this moment in our country, this moment culturally, and what the opportunities are to really support and showcase the best of what creativity has to offer in a city like Memphis.
That's awesome. Yeah. We're out of time. I always ask people what their first concert was.
Oh my gosh, what was my first concert? Actually, okay, this is very nerdy. My mom let me skip school because I played violin when I was younger, and I got to go to a peanut butter and jam session at Germantown Performing Arts Center to see Yo-Yo Ma.
I was going to Yo-Yo Ma. You said violin. I was thinking Yo-Yo Ma. That's a first.
And it was amazing. And they were very clear at the top of the show, you were not allowed to take any photos. And that sign couldn't stop me because I refused to read it. And I definitely took the worst, blurriest photo of Yo-Yo Ma performing on my way running out with my mom.
That's great. Awesome. Definitely a first for Yo-Yo Ma. Rachel Knox at Hyde Family Foundation, thanks for joining us. If you just missed any of the show, you can get the full episode of the WYXR website. You can go to wherever you get your podcasts, or you can get on YouTube or the Daily Memphian. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.